Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Pad, Paramahansa, Padurikacharya, Ashtoto, to the Shishimad Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa, Padurikacharya, Ashtoto, to the Shishimad Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. On this 5th day of February 2020 in SanDiego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. We are in chapter 9, entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text number 29 at the top of page 410. Samohang sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tamam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Samohang sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tamam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Samohang sarvabhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tamam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Samohang sarvabhuteshu. No, dveshyo. Name dveshyosti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya mayate teshu chapyaham. Hare Krishna. Okay, word by word meanings. We're on page 410. Come, here on this side, Babu, this side. Yes, the lady side. Yeah, anywhere over there. Thanks. Okay, page 410. Hare Krishna. Samaha, equally disposed. Aham, I, sarvabhuteshu, to all living entities. Na, no one, me, to me. Dveshyaha, hateful. Asti, is. Na, nor priyaha, dear. Yea, those who, bhajanti, render transcendental service. To, but, mam, unto me. Bhaktya, in devotion. Mai, are in me. Te, such persons, teshu, in them, cha, also, api, certainly. Aham, I. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Purport. One may question here that if Krishna is equal to everyone, and no one is his special friend, then why does he take a special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? But this is not discrimination, it is natural. Any man in this material world may be very charitably disposed, yet he has a special interest in his own children. The Lord claims that every living entity, in whatever form, is his son, and so he provides everyone with a generous supply of the necessities of life. He is just like a cloud which pours rain all over, regardless of whether it falls on rock or land or water. But for his devotees, he gives specific attention. Page 410 in the middle. Such devotees are mentioned here. They are always in Krishna consciousness, and therefore they are always transcendentally situated in Krishna. The very phrase Krishna consciousness suggests that those who are in such consciousness are living transcendentalists, situated in him. The Lord says here distinctly, Mahite, they are in me. Naturally, as a result, the Lord is also in them. This is reciprocal. This also explains the words, Ye yatam mam prapadyante, tang sataiva bhajamyaham. Whoever surrenders unto me, proportionately I take care of him. This transcendental reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotee are conscious. When a diamond is set in a golden ring, it looks very nice. Time out. Are you going to sit there without the jacket on? You must be practicing some special heating breath, yogic breath, is it? Oh, so you're already heated up. All right, don't. All right, Hare Krishna. This transcendental reciprocation exists because both the Lord and the devotee are conscious. When a diamond is set in a golden ring, it looks very nice. The gold is glorified, and at the same time, the diamond is glorified. The Lord and the living entity eternally glitter, and when a living entity becomes inclined to the service of the Supreme Lord, he looks like gold. The Lord is a diamond, and so this combination is very nice. Living entities in a pure state are called devotees. The Supreme Lord becomes the devotee of his devotees. If a reciprocal relationship is not present between the devotee and the Lord, then there is no personalist philosophy. In the impersonal philosophy, there is no reciprocation between the Supreme and the living entity. But in the personalist philosophy, there is. The example is often given that the Lord is like a desire tree, and whatever one wants from the desire tree, the Lord supplies. But here the explanation is more complete. The Lord is here stated to be partial to the devotees. This is the manifestation of the Lord's special mercy to the devotees. The Lord's reciprocation should not be considered to be under the law of karma. It belongs to the transcendental situation in which the Lord and his devotees function. Devotional service to the Lord is not an activity of this material world. It is part of this spiritual world, where eternity, bliss, and knowledge predominate. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chukshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So one of the underlying themes here in this chapter is the complete accessibility of Krishna consciousness, of Krishna. He begins with the statement that I'm going to idam tate guyatamam pravakshyami nusuyave. Arjuna, I'm going to explain this most confidential knowledge to you because you're not envious of me, because you're a friend, you're a devotee. He's not going to reveal the most intimate secrets to those who are indifferent to him or even inimical, right? It's especially for the devotees. And the next verse, really famous verse, which Prabhupada wrote, I understand, he wrote a special essay on that verse. It wasn't, it was published separately, the second verse, a very important verse. Rajavidya rajaguyam pavadram vidamuttamam pratyakshavagamam dhamyam susukam kartam abhyam. So here he's telling the unique quality of the teachings he's going to give, especially in this chapter. This is the king of all education, Raja Vidya, and the king of confidential knowledge, secret knowledge, Rajaguyam. Pavitram idam, it is idam uttamam, it is supremely purifying. Now, purifying from what? I take a shower every day. I'm not dirty. What are you talking about? In other words, we have to understand why we're in the material world. That it's impurities in our consciousness, which consists of all of the material desires and all of the fears and the grievances and all of the stuff that we've accumulated for lifetimes, that keeps us coming back because it's all entangled in this material world. It keeps us entangled here. But this pure bhakti, which is what Krishna is going to teach here, cleanses away all of this, so that we understand who we really are, and we awaken to our original natural Krishna consciousness, which means a loving reciprocal relationship, which is speaking about here. So therefore, it's pavitram idam uttamam. It's directly experienced. Pratyakshavagaman means that you can directly experience it. Even in the early stages of Krishna consciousness, if you begin chanting and associating with devotees, taking prasadam, you'll feel an upliftment in your consciousness. You'll feel more happy and less disturbed. These are just preliminary, but that's just the beginning. And all along the way, you can directly perceive the reality on a spiritual level. Susukam kartam abhyam. Susukam means very joyfully performed, which includes easy to perform. And that's the part of the chapter he's speaking of now. How this process, you don't have to be, there's no prerequisites. Just like Lord Chaitanya in his Shikshastika, the very second verse, he gives this verse describing how the holy name is available to everyone. Nam namakadi bahudani dasarva shaktis tatrapita niyamitak smaranena kala. So Krishna's reaching out to us. We need his association. We need to understand who we are and where everything came from and what that relationship is. But in our present state, we're closed. The curtain of Maya is blocking our vision. We can't understand anything except gross matter and matter in general. So the holy name, Krishna has come as the holy name via himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's come down to us. So this Harekrishna mantra, and there are many other mantras containing his name, but specifically this Maha mantra. Lord Chaitanya himself is saying here, you have unlimited number of names. Hare Krishna is there, but there's Govinda, Keshava, all kinds of names of Krishna. And in each of them, you've invested your potencies, meaning that they're especially empowered for purification and also for attracting us to Krishna. So there's no hard and fast rules for chanting. See, from the Vedic culture, not everyone could even hear the Vedas, what to speak of chant them. It was very restricted to the Brahminical class, and you had to be trained from childhood. There's still Brahmins there in India who do this. But as far as the holy name goes, that's a different thing. Anyone, anytime, any place can chant. You can be the most sinful, you can be old, young, it doesn't matter. From any country, it doesn't matter. Niyatak smadane nakala. There's no hard and fast rules for who and when and why and where can chant. What is it? Nam namakadi bahodani tatrapitani yamatak smadane nakala. Etadrishi tavakripa bhagavan mamapi. Out of your mercy, O Lord, you've given us your holy names. But dur daiva midrisha mihajani nanaraga. I'm so unfortunate that I haven't developed any attraction for them. And so I'm forgetting about the holy name and just messing around in the material world. This is the situation. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the same idea is there. The Krishna in this verse, he says, I'm not partial to anybody. I'm completely open for everyone. Every living entity is my child. He claims in the 14th chapter. I am the seed-giving Father. Every living being. It's kind of mind-boggling when you see there's all of these, birds and insects and cats and dogs and billions of human beings, and every single one of them is a child of God, is divine. But we've lost that divine connection, and so we're misunderstanding ourselves to be products of matter. I am this body, and everyone else is the body. All of this racism, nationalism, all of this is insanity. It's all based on the temporary body. I'm black, I'm white this lifetime, I can be black the next lifetime. Or even a subhuman or superhuman. So what's the point of making such a big deal that I'm white, you're black, it's insanity. And so Krishna is trying, through the Bhagavad Gita and the teaching of Krishna consciousness, to break down all of those misconceptions. And we try to live on the basis of our relationship with Krishna, according to the instructions that have been given. So here he says, Sarvabhuteshu, every living entity, I am equal toward. I don't envy anyone. Now, here the word is hateful. Now, Prabhupada uses the word envy to mean two things. And we need to know, if you read his books and understand fully what he's meaning. So envy normally means, to be jealous of someone. They have something you want. So you would never be envious of an ant. I remember reading that in Srila Prabhupada's book. We should not be envious even of an ant. Why should I ever be envious of an ant? Because he's using it in other means. And for this, I've been working with Prabhupada's words for 45 years. You need to go to the Oxford English Dictionary sometimes, because Prabhupada learned English at the beginning of the 20th century in India from Scottish Churches College and from the British. So there's a lot of Indian English usages that have come into his books and into his speaking that you may not understand what's going on. So envy is one of them. Most of the time, many times, he's using envy as we know it. Envious is that you're jealous of someone. But envious can also mean just to bear malice towards someone. Just like an insect, Why be indifferent? Why just, crush the insect? I remember an episode when I was just a kid. I was about 11 years old, 12 years old. And how I was out, it was after dinner, it was 6, 7 o'clock, it was dark out, and I was playing with one of my friends. And we saw this spider web. Fascinating. The spider was in there, I said, we'll catch some moths and we'll throw them into the web, see what happens, So we spent our time, we went around and we constantly threw them in, and, the poor moth would be, panicking, but he'd get stuck in there. And this spider would shake the web in order to immobilize him and then go and bite him or something. Wouldn't kill him, so it'd be, and so we were doing that. So I was being envious toward those poor moths. I wasn't at all feeling any kinship with them. I didn't think, he's a spirit soul, I'm a spirit soul, why should I hurt, It wasn't like that. It was just, kids are cruel like that, Thank God I chanted Hare Krishna, because it says I would have been in that spider web in my next life. So this is also a kind of envy. So Krishna says, I don't bear malice toward anyone. What to speak of be jealous of anyone? Krishna has unlimited powers. And no one is especially dear to me. In other words, all of them are equally my children. But a minority, we're in the minority in this material world, and it's not just this earth planet. We've turned our back on Krishna. We wanted to try to imitate him and be the controllers and enjoyers of our own little world. We can't do that in the spiritual world. The spiritual world is a world of complete harmony. Everybody loves Krishna and they're serving him in a specific way. He's reciprocating in a perfect way. And you're in this state of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Satchidananda. It's described that way. But that's not our world if we're trying to compete with Krishna. So now we're given this world. We come to Earth, planet, and we have our little field of control for a while. But then, we violate the laws of nature, laws of God, and then we lose this state, the human state, and we go down into the lower state, and our consciousness is much covered. And it's just a world of struggle and suffering, punctuated by a few moments of happiness, and then more suffering, and then old age, disease, death, next body come up like this. So this is the way things are organized. But as human beings, we can end the cycle. That's the whole idea. And here, Krishna says, okay, the first line, I'm completely equal toward everybody. No one is especially dear or envious. You're all my children. But I reciprocate exactly as you act toward me. If you want to keep ignoring me, fine. You're worshiping me indirectly. When we've learned already in the Bhagavad Gita in the 7th chapter that everything here is composed of Krishna's energies. I don't know, you seem like you may have studied the Gita. You know the 7th chapter, Bhuma, Apa, Analo, Vayo? Earth, water, fire, air, ether, solid matter, everything that we experience every day. Krishna says, these are all my energies. My lower energies. These are called apara prakriti. Nice to see you, Govind. And then there's the para prakriti. That's us. Meaning we're conscious. Within all of this unconscious energy, we are the conscious beings who are supporting it, and we're trying to exploit it and moving it around. The only reason our body is moving is because we're inside. The spirit soul, infinitesimal, but very potent, the potency of consciousness. As soon as the body, which is but a machine, a complicated machine, but no more than a machine, becomes dysfunctional due to time or injury or disease or whatever it may be, we have to leave. We leave the body. We don't die. The body is dead. You bury it, burn it, get rid of it. But we go on. Now, what determines our next body? That's the question we should ask. Our consciousness. What we have cultivated in this lifetime. That we also learned in the previous chapter. Krishna's not mentioning any words. It says, Yang vapi smadam bhavam, jajachante kalevaram, tamtame vaiti kontaya sadata bhava bhavita. Whatever is your predominant thought, your bhava, it's more than just a single thought, but it's your predominant thought and consciousness at the time of death, that will determine your next life. So, and there's all kinds of rules and regulations that if we violate them, then that impinges on our consciousness and we go down. So it's a very complicated affair. And what we're trying to do is to revive our original consciousness. And where we see ourselves as spiritual, we act spiritually in relation to Krishna. And like the example, this temple. And what is it? It's just a conglomeration of earth, water, and fire. Bricks and all these different things, and you have some wires in there. It's just matter. But because, especially the inside, it took them a year, devotees. We have some nice pictures of the devotees working on this temple. There was one lady who was the designer. She was the wife of the then president, Gunagrahi Dasadikari. And she was, you'd see her, she's conceiving all of this. And why this form? Well, when you walk in here, this particular form, which is also echoed here, is uplifts the mind, toward God. I'm telling our architecture is very powerful. I'll tell you a little story. When one of my India trips, I was trying to save money, and so there was a flight to India that went through Romania. What is it? What's the main city in Romania? Bucharest. And we had a layover in Romania, right? So they had just like a few months earlier thrown off the communist yoke. It was around 1990, 91, and all that was going on. And they had a real despot who ruled for a long time. And so, but the whole country was like Sovietized, and all that because it was all part of the Eastern Bloc. And so we landed there. And first of all, you get off and there's all these guys in these black leather jackets. What is all this, And it turns out that had been the uniform of the secret police. These guys weren't in the secret police. They just wanted to have the uniform, to have that aura, that they. but they were scary, and we walked outside, and the architecture was so oppressive. It's like being the two massive radiators, it wasn't the human scale, and the windows are very small, it was like, and it had an effect on your consciousness. So the way buildings are, everything affects your consciousness. The paintings you look at, the music you hear, the food you eat, everything is all, when you're consciously creating an environment that fosters your Krishna consciousness, then you're in a wholesome environment. That's the whole idea of a temple. As soon as you walk in, well, what are the pictures all about? It's all about God. They're all, different pastimes. You may not know when you first come in, but if you talk to devotees, you can know. What are the sounds you hear? Okay, I came in, they put a kirtan on. There's harekrishna's playing or some other music, Sattvic, not super sattvic, pure sound vibration. And of course, the beautiful deities are there. You can see your visual sense is filled with images of God, and rather than some garish movie or something. In other words, it's designed to be a place that'll uplift your consciousness and plant the seed of devotion, that nourish the seed, the plant of devotion. So that's true of the books you read, the music you read, the food you eat. Everything can be done in a Krishna conscious way to help you connect to Krishna and build a reciprocal relation, because then you realize, it's all coming from Krishna. Where did all these ideas come from? The paintings, the books, the sounds, the food. It's all inspired by Krishna. It's coming down in a tradition, and it helps you to purify the heart. So here he's saying, but one who worships me with love and devotion, I am in them and they are in me. In other words, I reciprocate by bringing them along, arranging for things for them to come closer to me. But those who are inimical to me, want to forget me, they can do that for lifetimes. So the idea is we should take advantage of the opportunity to engage in devotional service and become Krishna's friend, because you can never have a better friend. One may question, if he's equal to everyone, why does he take special interest in the devotees who are always engaged in his transcendental service? Prabhupada said, well, this is just natural. Is that if someone, is friendly to you, and they speak sweetly, and they give you a gift and some nice food, you're going to have a different attitude to them than someone who's saying, hey, what are you doing on my property? Get out of here. You know what I mean? The whole idea is it's just conscious reaction. So this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. He's coming out, He's going out to everybody, and he's saying it doesn't matter what you've done. This is the lesson this age, because 2 days we have Nityananda's appearance day. Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya are, like two arms of one body, practically. They're very close. Nityananda is Lord Chaitanya's mercy personified. Lord Chaitanya is merciful himself. But Lord Chaitanya is even more merciful. In Navadvip, Bengal, when the whole movement started, you had Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur were there with Lord Chaitanya, and he would send them out preaching in the land, in the Bengal especially. So there was a little formula. He said, here's what you tell the people, Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna, Karo Krishna, Shikha. Have you heard this one before? It means, Bolo Krishna means chant Shri Krishna's name. This is what they're meant to tell people in general. Bhaja Krishna, worship Krishna, and follow his instructions in Bhagavad Gita and other books. That's the whole thing. I put it into a little poem. Chant Shri Krishna's name and worship him with all your heart. Follow his instructions and to others them impart. The whole Krishna conscious movement is encapsulated in that little saying. So they were going around and doing that. They would knock on people's doors and they would implore them to chant the holy name and like that. So at that time in Navadvip, there was a very strong Brahminical presence, but there were some deviants. There were two Brahmins. They were born in Brahmin families, but they'd completely fallen from Brahminical culture. Their names were Jagai and Madhai. You know them. So they'd given up their Brahminical culture, and they had become drunkards and thieves and dacoits of all description, and people would see them on the road and say, oh, that's Jagai Madai, and they give them a big berth, So Nityananda and Haridas are preaching, and they come across these two. And they were warned by them, don't draw their attention, don't preach to them, you'll be sorry. So Nityananda says, no, we're supposed to approach everyone. So they're pretty intoxicated. So he says, Bolo Krishna, Bolo Krishna. Worship Krishna's name, chant Shri Krishna's name, worship Krishna like that. So they become angry, and they start running after them to attack them, to berating him with foul names, And Haridas had said, well, he had warned Nityananda, well, we shouldn't do it, we should follow what people said. No. So they start running. Haridas and Nityananda are running from them. And Haridas is, in a friendly way, saying, what have you done? And so Madai and Jagai are running after them, but they're so drunk that they really can't, they're stumbling, and finally they fall down and they start fighting each other. How drunkards are, they know what they're doing. So, they get back to camp and said, they tell Lord Chaitanya what happened. So the next day, a few days later, they're out again and they see Jagai Madai again. So Nitya says, I'm going to try again, see what happens. He says, please chant Krishna, Bolo Krishna. So this time Madai throws a piece of a broken pot called a shard at Nityananda, and he strikes his head and blood starts flowing, So Nityananda says, I don't mind, no problem, please chant, And he's going to throw another shard, and Jagai comes to his senses. Because after all, they're Brahmins, they know that, right? And he said, no, he's a saintly person, he stops his hand, So meanwhile, while this is all going on, Haridas goes back or some of the other devotees tell Lord Chaitanya, and he comes and he's furious. Now Lord Chaitanya, in his Shikshastika, he says, Trinarapi sunichena, tarorapi sahishnana. Here's how you can chant Hare Krishna successfully. You have to be more humble than a blade of grass, more tolerant than a tree, always ready to honor others and expect no honor for yourself. This is a formula by which if you chant in that mood, you'll be successful. So, but Lord Chaitanya, he was tolerant for himself, but he was not tolerant when Nityananda was hurt. You see, this is meant for yourself, but if a devotee is attacked or insulted, then you should become angry at the person. So Lord Chaitanya came, now he's Krishna, so he invoked his Sudarshan chakra, and suddenly Jagai and Madai realized, and Lord Chaitanya is big, he's 7 feet tall. And they bowed down and said, oh, forgive us. And he said, no, you've injured Nityananda. So Nityananda says, no, this Jagai, he actually saved me from this Madai. He says, oh, really? Okay, then you I can bless. So he gave him prema. So Jagai is now completely purified, and ecstatic. And Madai says, oh, please forgive me. He says, no, you have to get forgiven from Nityananda. So Nityananda forgave him. And Madai also vowed, because Lord Chaitanya, okay, whatever you've done up to now, it's purified. But no more of this nonsense. And then you'll get the mercy, I'll give you full mercy and everything. And so they became instantaneously delivered by Lord Chaitanya, and they changed everything. Now Madai was so remorseful for all of the offenses he'd committed before, that Lord Chaitanya said, okay, you build a little ghat. A ghat is a few steps into a river, into the Ganges. They're in Navadvip. And when the devotees come and take a bath, you come and, I forget what he was going to give them, some bhiksha or maybe bathe them or whatever, or beg their forgiveness. That's what it was. Anyway, so they became great devotees. And they symbolize the whole population of this age. So the idea is that Lord Chaitanya is said to be even more merciful than Krishna. Here, Krishna, after all, at the end, his final instruction is, Sarva Dharma Parityajya, you surrender. Surrender to me, give up all religion or anything else, and I'll accept you, and you'll come back to Godhead, and all your sins will be forgiven. And the formula is the same thing at the end of this chapter. We're coming on this important verse. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. You do these 4 things. Think of me, become my devotee, bow down to me and offer your homage to me and serve me, then you'll surely come to me, because you'll be connected to me. But Lord Chaitanya didn't make any demands like that. He didn't say surrender. He just said, chant Hare Krishna. He would go to South India, and he was so influential. He was chanting. People would just see him, and they would be somewhat purified already, and they would immediately get love of God. And they would go back to their home village, and people would see them and turn into bhaktas. This is how he's spreading the holy name. So the idea is that this verse is even more true today, that besides being equal to everyone, that even if you have absolutely no prerequisites, no qualifications, if you just make the effort to chant and try to associate with devotees, no matter what your situation before, you can become blessed by Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. So the idea is Krishna reciprocates. This is what bhakti actually means. If you look it up in the dictionary, it means a reciprocal relationship. And it's not just a one-way street, that you're striving, and you try to achieve something. This is the yogis. It's all on you. As much as you can control and do the pranayama, and control that mind, you can achieve wonders. You can get so many siddhis, you can travel other planets, whatever, It's really material. It's subtle material, but bhakti is all in the question of your sincerity, your service attitude, how much you recognize we're helpless. We're in this body, and we're beset by the natural forces that are way beyond our control. Just like I was reading today about the locusts. You read about the locusts? 300 billion locusts. That's a lot. It's a biblical plague. And because they had some cyclones in the Middle East that they never had before. It's all part of climate change. And they're eating all the food in Nigeria and other places that, moving toward Pakistan. They may move into India. Where did that come from? It's like, hello, we're in the material world, and these things happen. Chant Hare who knows what's going to happen? So this is the real safety in this world is in the spirit, is that there's no safety in matter. We can adjust it this way, that way, and it's just going to go, eventually it breaks down, and we go on to our destiny. So what we have in our hands, we have the freedom to form our consciousness if we have the intelligence to act according to the instructions that have been given. We have to have that faith. And the Bhagavad Gita, as Prabhupada said in the previous purport, is meant to instill faith in Krishna and in the process. And it can do that because of the commentary that's been given. There's no doubt here. There's no speculation in these purports. Prabhupada is speaking from a realized position. He's experienced these things. He's experienced Krishna at every moment in his heart. So we can also have Krishna, be a friend. Devotion as a friend is in me, and I am also a friend to them. Okay, any questions on this verse? Because I want to read the next one and move toward the end of the chapter by next week. If not, I have a special treat for you. Okay. Some of you may not be able to be here. You'll be able to be here. You'll probably be able to be here. But you're not going to be here for Nityananda's appearance. Yeah. So let me read you this little poem. This is not originally written by me. This is originally written by Vrindavan Das Thakur. Now, Vrindavan Das Thakur was a great devotee who was a contemporary of Nityananda. I believe he was a disciple of Nityananda. And here it is. And so he wrote this book called the Chaitanya Bhagavad, which was the first major biography of Lord Chaitanya. And in that biography, there's an extensive description of the pastimes of Lord Nityananda, more than in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so he also wrote this poem called the Nityananda Ashtaka, 8 prayers glorifying Lord Nityananda. I'm going to chant one of the Sanskrit, and you'll get a feeling for the Sanskrit, and then I'll just do my English rendition. There's nothing special, but it's something. Sarat Chandra Brantim Spudadamalakantim Gajakatim Hari Premon Mattam Jatapadamasattvam Smitamukam Sada Gornan Netram Kadakalita Vetram Kalibadam Bhaje Nityanandam Bhajanata Dukandam Nidavadi. Beside the splendor of his golden form and smiling face, the splendor of the autumn moon appears most commonplace. Because he's mad with love of God, though he's God in disguise, he walks just like a drunken elephant and rolls his eyes. So he's his avaduta, see. The coward's rod he carries is his weapon to destroy whatever ills and evils wicked Kali can deploy. O friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the bhakti tree. Unequaled in his love for Krishna, he's a vast abode of transcendental mellows only God has ever showed. For all his devotees, he's everything, and for his wives, Sri Vasudha and Janava, he is their very lives. Since love for Krishna makes him mad, his actions may seem odd, and so the foolish fail to see that he himself is God. O friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the bhakti tree. Now, you have to know the Lord Chaitanya is known as Sachinandan, the son of Shachi, his mother. So that's most dear to Shachi's son. He is a reservoir of bliss. Throughout the universe, he's worshipped with great happiness. Impelled by deep compassion when he sees the state therein, he saves the people sinking fast in Kali's sea of sin by teaching them to chant the holy name with every breath, thus crushing the conceit of Durga's sea of birth and death. O friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the bhakti tree. Now, when we speak of the brother, he's talking about Chaitanya. They regarded themselves as brothers. He said, "O brother, Kali's now ascendant everywhere, increasing people's suffering. It's more than I can bear. Please give these fallen souls an easy process to attain the shelter of your lotus feet, the place beyond all pain." "Instruct them all to chant Shri Krishna's name," the Lord replied, "to worship him with love, and by his teachings to abide." That's Bolo Krishna, Bhajo Krishna. "O friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the bhakti tree." So now Nityananda is out following this instruction from Lord Chaitanya. "O brother," he's speaking not to Lord Chaitanya, but to people in Navadvip. "O brother, kindly chant Shri Krishna's name incessantly, and also teach this process to your friends and family. Thus cross the sea of birth and death, and be supremely blessed. Your liberation is the only alms that I request." Entreating thus to save the people from illusion's thrall, with arms upraised he went to every home throughout Bengal. O friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the bhakti tree. Now, this I have to preface with a little. Agastya Muni, you may remember. There's two things you have to remember about Agastya Muni. That he was born from a pot, and that he once drank the ocean. And whenever they refer to him, it's one of those two things. A new Agastya Muni, with great force, he drinks the sea of birth and death. How loving and compassionate is he. For all his devotees, he is the best of rising moons, expanding wide the ocean full of transcendental boons. And for the many demons, filling people's hearts with dread, he is the sun, dispelling all the darkness that they spread. O friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the bhakti tree. He wandered every path in Bengal, chanting Hari Bol, his dancing and his singing bringing joy to every soul. He put aside his own concerns to spread the holy name, thus mercifully fulfilling Sri Chaitanya's preaching aim. On seeing saintly devotees, he felt great happiness, and with his mercy-laden glance, he filled their hearts with bliss. O friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the bhakti tree. Now, this painting back here, there's one original painting on this wall, and it's Lord Chaitanya dancing with another figure. Now, he's dressed in golden, but he's meant to be Lord Nityananda. So Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, you see? Back here, right behind me. I don't know if you see. The two figures with their arms upraised. That's Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. And the altar, what do we have? There's Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda. So this next one illustrates this pastime. He, Nityananda, he gently took his brother's soft and graceful lotus hand, and as he looked upon his face, he felt his bliss expand. Chaitanya felt the same way as he looked upon the face of Nityananda, and he held him in a firm embrace. And then they started dancing through the streets of all the towns, their beauty filling every heart with joy that knew no bounds. O friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the bhakti tree. Now this last verse is called the Palashruti. This is the benefit of hearing this poem. For Nityananda's devotees who relish mellow sweet, this poem is a precious nectar reservoir replete with endless waves and whirlpools of the sweetest, deepest love, beyond what even gods and goddesses are dreaming of. It has the power to deliver any fallen soul and place him at Sri Nityananda's feet, our final goal. May those who hear these transcendental verses I impart forever see his lovely lotus feet within their heart. O friends entrapped in Kali's clutches, yearning to break free, just worship Nityananda Ram, the root of the bhakti tree. And so that's my little poem. So, we have a little time. So I'll give you a kind of a taste of some of the other shlokas. There's actually an ocean of sound vibration that is kind of expanded from the holy name, and that all of them facilitate our absorption in Krishna. And recently I came across a verse about the lotus feet of Giridhari, Lord Giridhari. It's from the Govinda Lilamrita. A beautiful verse. It says, Palimalavasa the Bhuvanam. That has an odd meaning. Palimalavasa the Bhuvanam Sudasamuda the Rasagyarolambam Giridadiparam Bojam Katkalarasakasami Hate Hatum. Which means that the fragrance emanating from the lotus feet of Lord Giridhari, the lifter of Govardhan Hill, who's the worshipful deity here, is actually perfuming the whole world. We can't smell it with our material nose, but when we get purified, it will be. Padimalavasa the Bhuvanam. And for those be-like devotees who are expert at tasting rasa, they are always relishing the taste, the taste of the lotus of those feet. These are lotus feet. So the bees like to get into the lotus. It says, what devotee expert at tasting rasa could possibly ever give up those feet? This is the last part of it. So then there's so many other verses. This is one I remembered today from the Govinda Virodavali. Now Govinda Virodavali is a form of poetry in which you're calling out to the Lord with deep emotion. That's what Viruda means. And it's in the form of names. You know, in Sanskrit, names can be very long. But that means that they can easily be strung together in metric units. Here's an example, one I learned. Amala kamala duchikanda na pata pata natana pratima de kundali patamana navakupalahi kulasunda. Each one of those is a big adjective, a name for Krishna. Amala kamala duchikanda na pata pada. That's the first one. Your expert feet, which are expert at dancing, defeat the beauty of a whole forest full of lotus flowers and stuff like that. Amala kamala duchikanda pata pata. And the peacocks who are known for dancing, you know, they are enchanted by your wonderful dancing, and it goes on like that. And then in between these Virodavalis, they have regular verses, which are also very beautiful. And that's the one I'm going to share with you. And then we'll have a kirtan. Pujanga the Pachandakas, Buddha the Kunda Chudankure, Narankasha Darganshada, Brahmana Badna Bringa Brahme. Patanga duhitastati, Vanakati the Kedi Piye, Padas Buddha Dome, Mohastrai Mokunda Shudharati. You wear the best of crests, a crown of perfect peacock plumes. Your dancing glances stun the bees, meandering midst the blooms. You relish love play in a cottage by Kalindi's shore. O Krishna, may pure love for you be mine forevermore. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. All these are recorded. Just write me. I'll send you a whole file, a link.